MadHouse podcast, a safe place where we discuss the things that have been on our mind. So sit back, relax, as we dive deep down into the rabbit hole to see how far it goes. Welcome to the MadHouse podcast. Today, I think we're talking about a really interesting and deep topic that I've been thinking about. It really kind of hit us just like now, but I think, like, so the name of the topic is that gold standard woman. That's what we want to talk about. Like, that's what I want to dub it, the gold standard woman. And when I say that, I mean, like, I've had experience, right, where you've had women who would, when they offer criticism, it's more of a berating, or belittling you and bringing you down, like trying to make you feel like less than a man, right?
Just shitting on you, really.
Yeah, just shitting on you, right? On in your moments, of weakness, your moments of trial. But I've had a different kind of woman, which I call that gold standard woman, that that praises you, that supports you, but will also criticize you and come at your head when you're slacking. And I love that. And that's that strong woman who, like, they're the first ones to defend you. The first ones. Anybody's talking down, they're the first ones coming to your defense. But when you're slacking and when you're not making those right moves, they'll be the first one to come to you and say, hey, you're slipping. I need you to step it up because you're better than that. I need you to step it up. And it's different from the woman who belittles you because it doesn't make you feel small. It makes you feel like she's coming from a place of love.
Holding your ass accountable.
And she's holding me to the fire and saying, you're better than this. I need you to improve. And then you have to sit back and think, as a man, you know what? I was, like you said, I was kind of feeling like I was slipping. But now that somebody else has noticed it, somebody that I care about and I respect, has come to me and acknowledged that they've seen it. Now I see that it's showing. I need to make a change because I think that that's important, because when it's coming from that, like, that gold standard woman, like, you respect her opinion. She's a strong woman. She has her own. She's not depending on you, but she wants you to be there. And I like that dynamic where you have a woman who, she doesn't need you to do anything. She can take care of it herself. But she appreciates it when you do for her, right? Like, she can open her own door, but she likes when you do it. I mean, when the furniture people come, she could put together her own coffee table. But when you come through and say, I'm going to do it for you, she appreciates that. She doesn't be like, oh, well, I can do it myself. She knows that she can do it herself.
So it goes without saying.
It goes without saying. She understands that she's self-capable, but she appreciates that you were saying, hey, I know that you can do this, but I would like to do it for you because it makes you feel good. Because I think that woman understands that a man needs to feel like a man. You have to give a man the ability to feel like he can do for you, lead you, and provide for you, even if you can do it yourself. And a good man is going to understand that she can do it on her own and she doesn't need you. But it's about that dynamic of, like, I'm going to go ahead and give you what I feel like I need to give you, because as a man, and at the same time, you being able to say, hey, you know what, as a woman, and not to generalize, but typically women tend to need more emotional, you to be more emotionally there, more emotionally vulnerable, and willing to communicate and talk with them. And I feel like if you have a woman who's constantly by your side, backing you up, supporting you, then you also have to say, hey, you know what, I need to be more open in my communication, in my dialogue. I need to listen more, because a lot of times I think of the problem comes when, like, a man tries to talk to a woman versus listen to a woman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that a lot of times, like, men get to a point where, like, we want to talk and not listen. Like, for instance, your lady comes to you and says, "Oh my, I had a bad day at work. Such and such was doing this and this or whatever," and they're complaining about their day. A man typically wants to say, "Well, logically, well, what did you do, or did you handle it this way, or did
I want to solve the
you
problem.
want to solve the problem?" But a lot of times you got to realize that she's a capable woman.
Yeah.
She doesn't need you to solve her problems. Right now, she just needs you to listen.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to listen to her and say, "You know what? I need to step back and say, I don't need to be your problem solver. I just need to be your ear, because right now you just want to vent, and that's okay, because sometimes we just want to vent, and that goes for men too. Sometimes you just want to vent,
and that's just kind of the role that you got to play in that situation, and that's just kind of where she needs you. And it's funny that we're having this conversation today, and like we've literally been talking about this, like before this show we were talking about this for probably about 30 minutes. We had a different topic, and like we started talking about this, and it kind of got brought up because I was saying, "Hey man, I think you should start dating again, and like you should kind of get out there."
Yeah.
And you were like, "Hey, I'm good and all this, And I was like, I think it's good if you kind of like initiate conversation, just so because you spend a lot of time around the kids.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be good to just get that conversation kind of going with like a member of the opposite sex. That way, because like it's difficult, especially after you've gotten out of a long-term relationship, and especially when you haven't had the best experience with that, and now trying to get back on the market and just open up that line of communication with like a female. It's just different than talking to children.
Yeah.
Like, and it has to be because it's obviously like two different sides of the spectrum. And like, I was just basically saying, I was like, "Hey man, I think you should get out there and just like engage females more. Not saying that you gotta like be dating and stuff, but like just kind of at least start to open that line of communication." And like I said, this whole topic just kind of came about, and like it just kind of formulated, and there's just a lot of stuff to be said on this. And I know personally, like I went through that. Well, I guess you could say I'm currently going through it. So, after me and my ex had stopped talking, I got into, we'll call it an entanglement. Since that seems to be the word of 2020, we'll just call it an entanglement. In my mind, it was a relationship, but this woman that I was talking to, like, she was kind of like the gold standard. That I guess that's kind of why I'm still kind of dealing with the things that I'm dealing with now in regards to her, because like she showed me something different. Like, she was a woman that was like, she was older than me, and like she had her own. Like she didn't need me. Like she wanted me. Like she wanted to be with me. Like she kind of approached me, and like I took it, and we just kind of ran with it. Like it's funny because like when we first met, we met in the gym, and like she basically said, she's like, "Do you eat?" And I was like, "Yeah, I eat." And she was like, "Do you want to go get something to eat?" And she was about to action like right then. So right off the back, that kind of like took me. I was like, "Oh, well, she about to action. Like she want to go right now. Like she not like, well, maybe if like, because I like a woman that can kind of stand up and do her own shit. Like she was like, "Hey, you want to go get something to eat?" I was like, "Well, yeah, I do want to get something to eat. Let's go." So after the gym, we went and got some food, and like over the next few months, we started to kind of like we just got closer and closer, and I had a lot going on, like, in the year of, like, 2019. Yeah. Like, I had a lot, and, like, she was there, and she was supporting me. Like, even when, like, things weren't going right for me, and there were times where, like, I didn't even think I could do stuff, but she was right there, and, like, she would uplift me, and she'll tell me on myself, like, "Hey, you can do this. Like, don't worry about it. Like, everything's cool. Like, you got this." And she would push me to be better than even I thought I could be at that moment in time. And, like, that's always stuck with me. Like she wasn't like shitting on me and putting me down. Like if I wasn't doing something, she would tell me. Like she was like, "Hey, she's like, well, why don't you do it this way, or why are you doing it like that?" And like, I understand, because she had come from, like she had been hurt before too, so we had kind of shared that. We had a common ground where we could kind of stand on that and share.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why it's been so difficult for me to kind of move on from her, because like she was supportive. Like she was there for me, like when I needed her the most. Like she did, like I shared things with her, and I gave her a lot of myself, and I opened up to her quite a bit, and I shared things that I've never ever shared with anybody else.
Yeah.
And she didn't look at me like I was some kind of monster. Like she didn't look at me like any kind of like I shared a lot of like myself and like deep personal things that I've never really told anybody, and she was supportive of that. And she, you know, she didn't turn around and run. She stood there by my side and she was like, okay, you know, I understand. I hear what you're saying. Okay, well, you know, I'll help you through those things. And she was there and like she supported me, and like that's how I always remember her, because like I said, I share something extremely personal that I don't share with anybody, and she literally, you know, she listened to what I said, and then she just was like, okay, well, we got this, and everything was kind of like a we kind of thing. She's like, oh yeah, we got this, we'll take care of it, don't worry about it, it's cool. Like she just made me feel safe in that I could trust her emotionally with all the things that I was feeling, and you know, I formed a dependency on her.
Yeah.
Like I formed that dependency on having her there, not like financially, because like she had her own shit. Like she didn't need me to buy. Like she was always ready to pay for shit. I was like, no, you know, I got this. Like I got a job. I have money. So it wasn't like a financial kind of thing. It was just more so like I depended on her emotionally,
Yeah.
for a lot of things, because she was the first person I turned to when anything was going on, when anything happened. Like if something happened during my day that I wanted to call her and I wanted to talk to her about it, and I formed this dependency on her because I hadn't had that in so long that I forgot what that felt like to be vulnerable with somebody, and to be able to count on somebody to that extent. And when she kind of like opened up and was like, showed me that she was there, like I mean I was all in. I was prepared to just like to relinquish myself and be vulnerable with her emotionally, and like I didn't know what to do. And like I guess, and I mean we've stopped talking up to this point. I mean I couldn't even say why, and I don't really want to go, you know, too deep into the weeds about that. But like, you know, when she left, you know, I kind of feel like she took that again. So
and
it's hard, you know.
It's so hard to find that, and I obviously everything happens for a reason, but I really wish that that's what I had found in my first marriage.
Yeah.
And I've had that before. I remember I was telling you, like, I had this woman who
had a situation.
I had a situation where it's like she was just completely down. She like just always someone said something to me, she was ready to fight before before everybody else, before I could even say anything. She was at they throat.
It didn't even register you emotionally yet. She was already ready.
Like you're not finna disrespect. And I said, man, this woman is amazing. I said, because she pushed me to be much better.
Yeah.
Because I like I said, at this point I was in a leadership position, and she was like my number two. And when I was slacking, she would say, hey, you slacking. Or if I felt like I was getting kind of lazy, I'm like, man, I've been working hard. You know what? I'm a kind of slack a little bit. She'd be like, nah, I'm calling you on it. You slacking. But like I said, I never felt like she was coming at my head. I felt like she was coming from a place of love and improvement, and saying, hey, I see this before it's a problem. I'm a help you solve that problem. And I like that. I like it because there's nothing to me that's more attractive, sexy, enjoyable than a woman who is strong, independent, educated, well-versed, and also just totally committed and supportive of you.
Yeah.
Because you see your woman excelling and doing great things, and it drives that competition. Like, dang, like, babe is doing good. I need to step up because I can't have her doing it all by herself. We need to do it together, and that's what I like. You know what? Everyone to each his own, and everyone has their own preferences. And some people like a more dependent woman, and that's fine. That's not to knock anyone else, but I like the feeling of a woman who I see making strides, and I see who is successful in whatever her pursuit is, whether it's business, art, whether she sits at home and sews, but she's like, that's what she does. Like, whatever her pursuit is, she is successful and she puts everything into it. It doesn't like I said, it doesn't have to be like she's the most financially, like it doesn't matter. It's about whatever that pursuit is. They're driven in it, and they show a lot of love and tender care, and they hold that, and they keep that, and they strive for better and perfection in whatever they're doing. And you see that, and you say, I have my own dreams. I have my own aspirations. I want to love what I do as much as she loves what she does. And I want us to journey together. Yeah. Like, I don't feel like I'm carrying her.
It's like we're jointly kind of bearing the load together.
Yeah.
And like I agree with you, man. Like, I like the same thing. Like, I like my last situation or entanglement, whatever you want to call it, because, like, she was driven. Like, she didn't need to go to school, but she was still going to school. And, like, the fact that she was still driven with everything that she had going on and everything that she had already accomplished, that made me want to be better. Like, I looked at her and was like, that motivated me to want to be a better person. I was like, you know what? She would tell me about her situations and how she dealt with them emotionally, and that made me want to deal with my situations better emotionally. And then I look at where she is, like, on her career path. She was driven. Like, I like a woman who is driven, who is supportive, and who I'm constantly looking at, not to compete with, but I want to match what you're doing. I don't
like
think
you want to journey together.
Yeah, like I want somebody I can build with, who I can look at, and I know that you have a level of dedication. And as I look at you, they have this thing called equally yoked, and I understand. I don't believe people have to financially be equally yoked. I just feel like we have to at least be driven enough to be on the same level as far as our mindset goes.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You could work at fucking Burger King, and if I know that you have the mindset that you're not gonna be there forever, I can rock with you because I'm like, you know what? I like your mindset. You're driven. Like, you're not going to just settle for what's given to you. You're going to push further, and you're going to want more, because you're going to look at me and be like, okay, well, Jordan's pushing it. I'm going to push that shit. Like, I work here now, but I want more. And that's what I want. I want that mindset to, like, that I'm not comfortable. Because in fitness, it's the same thing with fitness. Like, I'm not saying that a chick got to have, like, this banging body where you got to have body. Like, you ain't got to have it right then, but if you're at least in the gym, like, we can connect on that level, because I know that you're always going to want more. Yeah. Like, you're going to look at yourself and be like, yeah, I look good, but hey, I want to look better, or I want to have more. And, like, if we can connect on that level, I know that probably, like, seeps into other parts of your life. And that's the kind of woman I like. I like a woman that can stand up for herself and, like, who's independent, who has her own shit, who don't need you to, like, take care of me. Like, I need you more emotionally than I need you anything, because I'm looking at a woman, I'm like, how are you enhancing my situation? What are you bringing to the table that I can't go get somewhere else? Like, yeah, you got a sexy bod, that's fine, that's cool, but if that's all you bring to the table, if you're not enhancing my situation mentally and mentally stimulating me, you could be sexy and you could give me this bomb ass sex, that's fine. I like that, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy that aspect of it, but I need you to be able to stimulate me on a mental level and to want, like, push me to want to be better.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to want more, because I'm gonna look at you and I'm like, okay, well, she want more, so shit, I want more, and we're both wanting. So now we're building this thing together. So I need a woman that can speak up. I don't like a submissive woman. Like, I don't want a woman that's just always gonna agree with the things that I say. I want women that have their own opinion about stuff, that we can disagree, because I'm like, well, I don't like this, and she's like, okay, so she takes what I've said, and she's like, well, I do like this. I'm like, okay, well, why? Now we're exchanging perspectives, and I at least know that you have an original thought, and, like, you've thought enough about something to where you can have an opinion on it, and you could bring that to the table, and now we can discuss it. And I'm like, I need that conversation. I need to know that there's something more.
Drives. One thing I have to have is conversation. Like,
Yeah.
one thing I love dialogue. And some people are like, oh, you just like to argue. A lot of times I'll set up argumentative situations. It's not because I like to argue. I like to have debates, because I feel like it keeps it fresh. It's like, oh, you just like to argue. It's like, no, I like to set up these situations, these argumentative situations all the time, because I'm testing you, because I want to see if you just say fold and like, oh, whatever, I don't care, I don't want to argue, or if you can come at me and say, that's a great point, but I believe this, and then back it up and say, and then now I like that because I like to have different varied opinions, and I like to reassess my chain of thought because I want to say this is what I believe, and like I said, obviously your woman doesn't always have to disagree with you, but if there's but I want someone who's not afraid to disagree. You might be in sync with a lot of stuff, but there might be some topics where they're like, no, I think you're wrong, and you like, okay, well, I think I'm right. Let's discuss our points, and then you can come and then as adults you can say, you know what, I used to believe this, but after I've heard this point of view from someone who had a good open dialogue, and they told you their point of view, they told you their stance, and they gave you their opinions, but also backed it up with some type of facts, and now you can reassess and say, hey, you know what, I didn't see it from that angle, and looking at it from that angle, now I might not change my train of thought, but I can view from a different lens. I can change my perspective.
Yeah.
I might still have the same opinion, but my perspective has now changed to where now I understand.
Yep.
And we might not agree, but I'm not gonna like disagree either.
Yeah. Like I like knowing that like you have your own opinion. I need to know your experience. Why do you feel the way that you feel about this? And then I need to know that you can critically think about things because, like, yeah, I like to be, like, quote-unquote, the man in the relationship. I want to lead you. But I also need to know that if for whatever reason I'm not able to do it, you'll do the same thing that I can do and hold it down while I'm not able to do it for whatever reason. And it's important for that communication aspect of it because I'm like, we got to be able to communicate. And we need to be able to understand the other person, and we have to be able to talk about things and not have the shit turn into like it's not an argument. It's just we're just conversing on two different sides. Like I feel this way, you feel that way. Okay, cool. We don't have to agree. Not everything is like, well, you gotta agree. No, we don't have to agree. Like I just want to know what you think about it.
But you can respect you. See, the thing I like about having someone you can have a good debate with, because even if you don't agree, you can respect someone else's opinion. Now, when someone comes to you and says, I think the sky is purple, and you say, well, I think it's blue, and then they say, and I'm like, well, why do you think it's purple? It's purple. Well, but why do you, because I don't want to talk about it. Then it's like, well, I really can't respect your opinion.
You're closing it off now.
You're just closing it off. But, like, if you were explaining to me, well, this, and this, I'm like, okay, I see why you're looking at it like that way. So I can respect that you've put some thought into it. So I respect that.
Yeah, like I need to know that you've at least thought about it enough to want to like it's something that means something to you, and you're willing to go after what means something. Like
because it shows a dedication. It shows that you don't just take things at value. I heard someone say this, and I'm gonna confirmation bias, and that's what I believe. You say, hey, I heard this. I'm gonna go vet that information myself. And, okay, now I know that this is true, and it just shows that level of dedication. But I want to go back to what you just said about being, I think this is important to touch on this before we get too far, being the man and being the leader. And I think it's important because I feel that kind of same way, but I want, before anyone misconstrues it, I actually want to explain that because I feel that way too. I feel that as a man, you should be the leader of that household, and you should take charge. In the sense that, how I kind of look at it from a military perspective, and this is my experience, so this is usually what I relate it to. I'm a grown man, right? I'm an adult. I have my own experiences. I have my own opinions or whatever. And you know what? And I can make my own decisions. But even as a man, and I feel like I'm a leader, I understand that when I go to work, I might be in charge of 80 Marines, right? But there's somebody else who's in charge of me, right? I don't look and say, well, why are you my... I understand the dynamic of...
It's a chain of command.
It's a chain of command. Like, I understand that I can be a leader, but I can also be a follower.
Yeah.
There has to be someone leading the situation. And what it's important to realize that I think it's good to preface that by saying like I think a strong woman understands that I can be comfortable putting you in that leadership position, and a strong woman can also say, "Hey, I'm gonna let you be the man and take the reins, but if I see that you're not leading me, I'm gonna call you out on it, and then if you can't improve, then something's gonna have to change."
But most men don't like that. Like,
see,
they
I
want
like
to be
that.
they want to be the man, and they don't like any type of kickback. I'm like, listen, dude, to be a great leader, you have to be able to fucking lead. You have to be able to follow. It's like you have to be able to follow, so you can understand that, like, hey, when it's my time to lead, I'm in charge. I'm going to lead this. But you have to be able to see it from other perspectives and say, you know what? I'm in charge. This is the decision I made. But I didn't just haphazardly just come up with this decision on a whim. Like, I've taken everything into account, and I'm making this decision based off of this. Like, when I lead in a relationship, I'm going to take your opinion. I'm going to take what you think. I'm going to look at the whole situation and say, you know what? Okay, cool. This is how you feel about this. This is what I think. And I'm going to make a decision based off that. I'm not just going to take my own personal bias. I got to look at everything and say, look, I made this decision because I know that you're strong in this, I'm strong in this, and this is what we're going to do based off of everything that's being considered.
And I think that's important. As a man, you can't just say, because I'm the leader, what I say goes, and I don't want the opinion of my woman. A good leader should always say, hey, this is my decision. And I take it back to, I forgot who said this. I wish I could quote him directly, but a good leader confides in people who are smarter than him.
Yeah.
A good leader puts people by his side who are smart, who are educated, who are subject matter experts, who can guide him.
Yeah.
A leader makes decisions based off of the information he's given by people, right? A good leader just doesn't lead just to lead. He has people who are giving him advice, who are giving him people he trusts, and they're giving him information based on what's relevant at the times, and that a good leader decides what to do on the information that he is given. He doesn't know everything. You don't have to know everything. And I think as a man, you should realize that you don't know everything, but if you're going to be that man in that leader position, you have to realize that you don't know everything. What you say doesn't always just go. You have to say, I have a situation. I need to confide in my woman and see what is her perspective on that situation. I form my own perspective, and I have my own opinions, but I need to see from a different perspective, what does she feel? And now I need to be able to, what we talked about, listen, not just talk, listen and say, okay, I have listened to her, I understand her, I know that she supports me, she's strong, and I know that now based on the information that I believe, based on the information I've received from her, now ultimately I have to make this decision. And I have to make a decision that's going to be best for both people, not just for yourself or it's advantageous. What decision? Sometimes you're not going to make that perfect decision. It's not going to be a perfect situation, but you would like to make a decision where both parties have some kind of balanced outcome, where it's a mutually beneficial decision. Sometimes it's just not going to be like that, but you try to strive for that. And I think that it's important to understand that as a man, you should be that leader, but you should also be able to listen and follow. And sometimes you have to say, hey, sometimes as a leader you have to say, look, I have this decision to make, and my woman understands this more than I do. I need to relinquish that command and say, hey, you know what? I need to depend on you to decide what this is, because you are better suited.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. You have to understand, like, sometimes it might be something that you might not be well versed in, and they say, hey, you know what? I'm very knowledgeable on this, and I would like to make the call. Okay, you make that call, and I think it's a give and take, right? And I think it's important to say that when you say you want to be that leader, you want to be the man and that leader, it's not about being a tyrant, not about
like
being a dictator.
Fist,
It's about you coming from a place of I want to make that decision. I want to be the one responsible, but I also want to listen and take heed of everyone's opinions so that we can make something that is going to be beneficial for us.
Yeah.
And if something does happen, I'm willing, as that leader, to take the consequences for the
accept
fallout of that action. And that's what I'll do because I am that leader. I will take the consequences for that action or whatever it may be.
Yeah. And
Not to say a woman cannot lead, but I
Yeah.
think that you do sometimes have to have roles in relationships. You have to have roles.
And like I said, that's a touchy subject. But like I said, I won't get into like roles like that. But on the basis of what we're talking about now, that's why it's so important to have a woman
You can trust that give you that knowledge.
You have to trust her, and I have to know that you have your own thoughts, and that you're not just agreeing with everything that I say. Because if I'm saying something, because sometimes we're too close to it.
Yeah.
Like we're sometimes we don't approach everything logically. Sometimes you need that outside person, or at least a person who can kind of tell you about yourself and say, like, hey, look, man, you're upset about this. You're making a decision based off of this, but that one thing is something that you're approaching from an emotional standpoint. Hey, babe, listen, I know that you want to do this, and I know that you're trying to prove X, Y, and Z, but hey, is that really the best thing for us to do? A real leader will say, oh damn, I didn't realize that. Like, I didn't realize what I was doing. Okay, let me take a look at this. Let me kind of see. And if you don't have a strong woman who's willing to do that, some women will just agree with you, like, okay, babe, whatever you say. I don't want that. I don't want a whatever you say, or like, hey, babe, what do you? I'm thinking about doing this for us. What do you think? I don't know. Whatever. What do you think? I'm like, I ain't asked what I thought. I know what I think. I'm asking, what do you think? Don't ask me what I think when I ask you your opinion. Like, I know what my opinion is. I want to know what is your thought on this, because I'm going to take that thought and I'm going to factor it into making this decision. If I didn't care, or if you're just going to ask me what I think, I could just make the decision by myself and I don't have to ask you at all. I don't want to do that. I don't like to make decisions based off of one, like my opinion alone. I don't like doing that because I'm not in this relationship by myself. I'm not the only person that has to deal with these consequences. Granted, when something goes wrong, I'll take responsibility for it and say, hey, that was my decision, But even though I know that you gave me feedback, I'll still accept the response. I'm like, I decided to do this. But that's what a good leader does. Like, I'm going to listen to what you have to say, take that, factor it in, and then I'll have accountability for myself if it goes right, if it goes wrong. If it goes right, we'll share in the glory. Yeah. If it goes wrong, I'll take the butt of it. I'm like, it was me that decided to do this, but that's what leaders do. Yeah. Like, anybody can be in charge. Not everybody's a leader. Anybody could just be in charge and say, hey man, you're in charge today. You just tell people what to do. You do whatever. A leader embodies that and says, I'm a great leader. I'm going to take everything that I know being a great leader entails, and I'm going to put that into practice. The good, the bad, the ups, the downs, everything. I'm going to put that into practice. So I just think it's so important to have a woman that understands that and is willing to be a part of that.
And yeah, like that's just part about being like that gold standard strong woman who's supportive and who can call you out on your mess, who can support you. But it's hard to find. Yeah. And maybe it's just hard for me to find. But
I think that, like, once you kind of, like, honestly, the dating world has just changed. You probably haven't dated in probably 15 years or so.
Yeah.
And like, I hadn't dated in like almost 6 years. So even when I got back out there, it was like a shock to me, because I'm like, I'm used to just saying what it is that I want. I'm just like, hey, this is what I want. And women have always been kind of like, it's hit or miss. Like, you never really know. Like, sometimes you can tell a woman what you want. She'll tell you what she wants, and you can keep it moving. But sometimes, I don't know, like, women can be like, it's hit and miss. Like, some of those women like the chase. Like, they want to be pursued. Like, I have my best friend, and I converse with my best friend. She's like my subject matter expert on all things women, because I always want to get her perspective. Whenever I hear a situation, I call my best friend and I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? Because I know the type of woman that she is, and like we would probably never be in a relationship because the type of woman that she is, I'm different from her and like the things that I want. You know, she's the kind of woman that she wants to be pursued. She likes certain things. I'm the type of man who I'm like, I'm not doing I don't want to pursue you. Like, I'll pursue you to an extent, but I need to know what you bring into the table. Like, if all you, and not to say that she's like, you better chase me and like, I'm not going to be with you if you can't chase. Like, she's not like that at all. But like, she likes a certain thing. She likes to be pursued. On the other hand, I like to be pursued. Like, I want the woman to show me. I mean, that's just how I am. Like, if a woman is willing to come up and say something to me, approach me first, that says a lot about her to me. I'm like, oh, okay, so she about that action. She saw something that she want, and she was like, I'm gonna go get that. I like that because I'm like, oh, well, that's what I want. Like, I want a woman who ain't like afraid to stand up for what she wants. Like, if you want something, you like, hey, I'm gonna go get that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, shit, you have my curiosity. Now you have my attention. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I saw that you was looking good, but like, the fact that you just walked over here, initiated a conversation, and kind of guided the conversation where I could be like, all right, well, let me go ahead and get your. They doing Instagram now. We don't even exchange numbers no more. But like the fact that you did that, like that shows me, I'm like, she about that action, and like this is a chick I can kind of be like, I could fuck with that because I know that at least you have the capacity to stand up for something that you want. Now, as you get to know people and, like, you know, you get to know women, you got to get to see a little bit more about, you know, how they are and stuff. And, you know, you pick and choose. But, like, the dating scene has just changed so much. And, like, it's hard. It's harder to date nowadays because everybody wants the benefits of being in a relationship, but they don't want anything that comes with it. Everybody wants I want to be able to, like, hang out with you, do X, Y, and Z, but I don't want the title. I don't want the responsibility. Which is fine, and it's just it's an instant gratification kind of day and age now. I want instant gratification. I don't want to have to work for it, and like I just want the sex right now. I don't want to wait for the sex. Like I don't want to put the work in to get. I just want it, and then the woman is like some women are cool with that. Some women are like, all right, well, you know, whatever, that's fine, but some just aren't. You know, like the dating scene has just changed, and it's a little bit more difficult to find something more worthwhile. Because you got things like social media that factor into it, and like you know, people start looking at other people's lives, and they start basing their lives and the things that they want and expect from men and women based off of what they see on social media. And I'm like, you know, that's real. It's touchy because you got to be careful because people pick and choose what to put on social media. Oh, bae just bought me this new car. You know, I love you, bae. They didn't post about like the fucking 6 months that dude of overtime that he put in to get her that car. Like nobody puts the work that they do to get. They just put the finished product, and that's what people see, and that's what they think it's gonna be.
And that's just crazy. I said because like I said, I hadn't dated in like what 13 years.
Yeah, you far removed.
I was married in a long relationship for like it was 13 years. Yeah. So when I was in the dating scene, like we actually met people or went places to see people.
Like in person.
In person. Like if I wanted to meet someone, it was like I'm gonna go out and so I'm in wherever I'm at, I'm gonna meet someone. Yeah. I went out to eat. I met someone. You know, like just for instance, you know, my wife, well, my ex-wife. I met her at McDonald's. I went to I always said it's funny how I always made a joke. I said it's funny how a decision between McDonald's and Burger King changed my life.
A Whopper and a Big Mac.
A Whopper and a Big Mac changed my life. And people are like, what are you talking about? I said you don't know how strong a Whopper and a Big Mac are. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I said the decision between that shaped the rest of my life. Yeah. For the 13
Without
years.
even noticing it.
Without even noticing, because I remember I was driving. At the time I had my Mustang. I was driving, and I asked my friend Kendrick. I was like, "Hey, what do you want to eat? You want a Whopper or you want a Big Mac?" And he was like, "I don't care, man. Whatever." I was like, "All right, well, we get a Big Mac." Yeah. So I went to McDonald's, and I went to order, and as I'm placing my order with the chick, I remember it. All I saw in the drive-thru, I looked to the drive-thru and I just saw a big round bud. I'm like, oh, whoa, that's a nice bud. I said, hey, when I ordered my food, I said, hey, get a girl over there. And she came over, and I was like, hey, here's my number, whatever, hit me up. And 3 days later, she called, and then like next thing you know, 13 years later,
we got the rapping, and that's how it happened.
So I said, it's funny, but that was it back in the day. Like it wasn't a social media thing. It was like your day-to-day experiences. Yeah. I went to the mall to get some shoes, and there was a fly chick who worked at Foot Locker, or I went to stop at the food court, and I saw this little chick I like, and you go talk to him. Yeah. Like you see something you like, you go talk to him. And you just your day-to-day, you go out, you see somebody you like in your path, and that's how it went. Like nowadays, like I'm pretty kind of like that's one reason I'm hesitant.
It is very different.
I look to you as far as like what's going on now. Like you're like, oh, well, Instagram and this is online. I'm like, man, I don't want to look at a picture. Like I don't want to scroll through pictures. Like nope. I kind of think I like that. Nope. I think I kind of. No, I don't want to scroll through. I just want to meet somebody.
And it's weird. It's really weird. It's different because like even when I got back out there, I remember the first time I was okay with trying to get back out there just like a little bit, and I met this chick, and we were in person, so I'm just like we sitting there talking or whatever, and then like I was like, well let me give you my number. She's like, oh just take my Instagram, and I'm like, okay. So I took her Instagram, and I'm like, so, and this is back when I didn't know anything about it. I was like, so I got your Instagram. I was like, so, she's like, yeah, just DM me. I'm like, what is DM? Like, what do you mean DM you? So, and then we started conversing through Instagram, and I'm like, yeah. So I just gave her my number. I was like, hey, just call me when you get some time. People don't know how to talk on the phone no more. Yeah. So when they could text up a damn storm. They texting like a full paragraph, and then I called her, and she was just like, it's like, hey. I'm like, hey, what's up? Oh, nothing. I'm like, okay, so, what'd you do today? Nothing. I'm like,
yeah, they don't want to talk.
So you didn't do it, like, you literally did nothing all day, like, you just sat there. She's like, well, no, I did stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, what did you do? Like, and, like, that wasn't just one person. Like, females, like, it's just, like, they can text and, but they can socially message you and text, but when it comes to, like, face-to-face interaction, it's difficult because they don't know how to do that no more. They're just so used to do everything being streamlined to where it's like, okay, well, we could just text. I'm like, no, I like to talk. I need to face. I need to see you.
I remember, like, I miss having hour-long conversations
on the corded phone.
Yeah,
a corded phone.
That's how it used to be. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna call. Oh no, just text me. And like I've had those experiences too. Like where like even recently, just like with people, like when I was in the military, like I have friends and stuff, and like you would talk to them, and you call them, oh, you should just text me. And like, well, I want to talk. Like I like talking on the phone.
Yeah.
I don't like thinking of myself as an old head, but I guess I'm an old head now.
I'm face to face, but it's like face to face, then it's talking on the actual phone, and then it's like text messaging. Like, I mean, I guess FaceTime is a big thing now. Sometimes people want to FaceTime, but I'll share this experience with you. I was talking to this one chick probably a few months ago, and she was like, I tried to FaceTime her. Like, we had talked on the phone before, and I tried to FaceTime her. She didn't pick up, and I called her. I was like, she called me right after that, and I was like, hey, I just tried to FaceTime. She's like, oh yeah, you got to make an appointment to do that. I'm like, an appointment? That right there just turned me. I was just through. I was like, you want me to make an appointment to FaceTime? She's like, yeah, you got to make an appointment. I can't just be FaceTiming. Like, I'm like, I don't give a damn how you look. I want you to just be regular. Like, just talk to me however you are. That's how I want to see you. I want to see you how you naturally are. You ain't got to go put the makeup on. Like, I don't want to see you all dolled up with the makeup and stuff. Because, like, if I wake up to you the next day, like, just say it, go there. And if I wake up to you next day and you don't look how you always look, I'm going to be surprised and shocked. I'm like, oh, shit. Like, who the fuck are you right now? I just want to see how you normally look. But when she told me, like, she's like, oh, yeah, you got to make an appointment to that. She became appointment girl. I'm like, appointment? I'm like, nigga, I ain't making no appointment to talk to you. Like, I was like, okay, whatever. Yeah. So, obviously, that didn't really last too long. But, like I said, I digress. But, like I said, things have just changed. But I think it'd be really, really good for you to, like, at least get back into, like, the pool and kind of put your water in. Like, you'll probably have to start with, like, kind of like the dating kind of like, because that's where things are right now.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are using. I mean, I've used dating apps before, and like, you know, I just deleted one not too long ago, but like.
It's gonna be hard though, cause like I said, like I've already set that standard of woman I want. Like I want that gold standard woman. And like it's gonna be hard finding that. Like I think I need to get back out there and start dating. But like I know like the strong kind of woman I'm looking for. Yeah. So
and it'll take time.
It's gonna take time, yeah.
Because you don't just find those like usually when you find those kind of women, like it's usually like face to face. But like I'm not saying that you can't find that through the online dating thing or whatever, because like I mean obviously you get to know people more as you spend more time with them, and you kind of get to know their ins and their outs and stuff. But like that strong woman that's willing to hold you down and who's willing to not only like put you down when you need to be put down, but she's willing to lift you. Like she picking you up out the mud and pulling you like, hey, listen, you not giving me 100%. I won't tolerate that. Like we need more women to stand up and say, look, you ain't giving me what I know you can give me. Like you can do better. Not just to belittle you and to make you feel like shit, but like because they genuinely want you to succeed. Like, hey, listen, dude, you gonna give me 110%. Like I won't accept anything less from you. And men have to kind of like check their egos at the door, because when a strong woman, like men say they want a strong woman until a strong woman come up on your ass, and now you like, man, I don't want no woman telling me like you can't be putting me. It's not that she's putting you down. She's holding you accountable. Yeah. And she's gonna make you be the things that you said that you was gonna be. She gonna hold you to that standard.
You just said I like that. A lot of times people say something.
Yeah.
Oh, they put their best front when they're in that beginning. Mm-hmm. I've always said it, and I believe this to be true. Mm-hmm. You may disagree with me. I said you do not find out who you're dating for the first 3 months.
I can respect that.
I wholeheartedly believe 3 months is how long it takes to really see somebody. Because after 3 months, it's hard to put up a farce. For 3 months, because you got to think about it. You first meet them, and it's kind of slow. Okay, you kind of talk it a little bit.
Yeah, I don't spend a lot of time.
You go from talking and lie, and then the reason I say it's 3 months because I do it in stages. Yeah. This is why I'm going to give you my 3 months. I believe you have the meeting in the initial courting stage. Mm-hmm. Then you have the outing stage, where like you've talked. You maybe do more on the phone stuff, and then you move to the second phase, which is the second month. Is now you're going out more, you're spending more time together, and then the third stage is when you start to get more serious. Mm-hmm. You spend more time. You're staying at each other's houses. Mm-hmm. You're spending the night more now. Because like in the going out stage, you might just be going out, but then you're going home at the end of the day. But in that third stage, like now we leaving toothbrushes and stuff because I might come over.
You see how I'm living.
Then at that third month at that stage, then you start seeing, okay, well, you wasn't acting like this in them first 3 months, but now that we've actually started to kind of like, you spend the night, now I notice that, like, when you brush your teeth, like, you get toothpaste all over the mirror.
You putting the whole thing, I'm like
you know, like, when you do your hair, like, you don't clean up after, you don't pick your hair
shit all over
you leave your brush with the hair there, or, you know, when you drink, when you get a cup, you don't like finish it and put your cup up. Like you'll drink some and you'll leave your cup on the counter and it'll sit there for a while, and then you get a new cup when you thirsty again. Like, man, so it's like
the little stuff.
It's the little stuff. Like it happens both ways, men and women. Yeah. But like that's what I'm talking about. Like that's when you start to notice. That's why I say it's 3 months. You got the courting, then you got the outing stage when you're going out, and then the final stage is when that third month is when you're typically You're being personal and spending time at each other's places and then that's when you start. That's why I said after that 3 months you can't hide. It's hard to hide those things. So that's why I say it's 3 months.
And I get it, cause like it's just like when you start a new job. You ever been to a job on your resume? You put all the shit that you can do. I'm Adobe, Excel, PowerPoint. You put all these programs that you know how to do. And your first day, like, okay, I need you to create a PowerPoint using Adobe Plus. You like, yeah, okay, I'll get on that. You ain't never used Adobe Plus in your whole damn life. But you put all these things that you can do on paper. I've done this, I can do that. Yeah. Then they start asking you to do it, and you like, oh, okay, well, yeah, let me. Now you trying to figure out.
Yeah,
you trying to. But like, that's how you kind of like.
And see, like
sold yourself
and when you come to a strong woman and you told her you could do all this and you want to be that leader, and then she say, "Well, look, Playboy, I need you to show me." You need to be able to say, "Hey, like you said, check that ego and say, hey, you know what? I said I could do this, but I'm not doing it. I can't be mad when she's saying, hey." Like it's not like she's asking anything that you didn't bring up. That you didn't bring up. Like you told it. You sticking your chest out. Like you need to be able to. I'm Mr. Big Chest. Yeah. You can't be like I'm Mr. Big Chest leader. And she's okay. Well, go ahead, and lead me. And then you like like you gotta all of a sudden it's excuses and then you trying to like, well, I could have did it, but you was doing. No, don't be blaming her. Don't blame her. It's like, too late. You take that. You want to be the leader. You take that responsibility.
That's what that strong woman will do for you. And I'm not one of those dudes that says that a man can't be a man without a woman. You can be a man. It's just a different type. Like having a woman elevates you to another level, especially when you have that kind of woman. Because, like I said, that kind of woman. She gonna make you better than even that you thought you could be. Because even when you think that you good, when you got that kind of woman who's supporting you like that, ride or die, it's like it's not no I and you, is we. Like we in this shit. She's gonna make sure that you're always on your P's and Q's. She's like, nah, that ain't what you told me. Like, I've seen what you can do. You've shown me your best, and I will not accept anything less than your best. And it's the same way for men and women. Like, a man should be able to hold his woman to that standard too. And I don't want this to get misconstrued. I'm not talking about like washing dishes and fucking cooking. Like this goes deeper than like those kind of like things like, oh, you was washing dishes, but now you're not. Okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about intangibles. Like what I want currently right now, I want things from a woman that money can't buy. I want things that you can't see. Like, when I look at you, I can't see that you bringing these to the table. I need to see them. Like, you going to have to show me. Like, every woman is like, oh, well, I'm a good woman, X, Y, and Z. I'm like, okay, well, you got to show me. I got to go Kratos on their ass. Show me. Like, you got to show me that you're going to do these things. Show me that you're going to hold me accountable, because I'm going to hold you accountable. Like, if I see you, like, slacking, not doing X, Y, and Z, I'm going to tell you about yourself. Like, if you say that you want to make changes in the gym and, like, you want to get more in shape, I'm going to hold you to that. Like, once you've achieved this or once you've kind of got to this point, I'm not going to let you start falling beneath that, because I'm like, nah, I don't accept that. And that's the kind of woman I want.
Yeah, and it's like, it's based on, like, what you say. Like, if you say you want something, I'm going to hold you to the side to do it. Like, if you don't say nothing, okay, well, I can't hold you to that. Yeah. I'm not going to force my opinions on you. Yeah. Like, you could suggest, hey, and I think it has to be one of them, like, hey, but I think you'd be better if you start going to the gym. Yeah. Like it'd be better if, like, like, as far as health reasons.
But you've got to commit to it.
But you can suggest that, but you can't be like every day, oh, well, I wish you go to the gym. Oh, you need to go to like, hey, I think this would be good. And then they have to make that. Yeah. And if they say, okay, you know what, you're right, I'm going to make this commitment. And then say, okay, if this is what you want to do, I'm going to hold you accountable.
But make sure that it's something that you want to do. Yeah. Like, I want to make sure that it's something that you want. I'll suggest, hey, I'm big into the gym. I'm going to always suggest it, like, hey, we should work out together. I'll suggest it if you put forth a concerted effort to do so. I'll support you in it. I'll ride or die with you. I'll hold you accountable for it. But once you ask me, or once you've made it like clear that that's something that you want, I'm gonna hold you to that, and I want the same thing in return. If I said that I was gonna go to school and this is what I want to do, I need you, my woman. That's what I want you to do. So those days when I'm feeling down, I don't feel like I can do it, like I didn't get a good grade or whatever. Okay, babe. Well, hey, let's get in those books. Like, hey, you didn't do as good on this assignment that you wanted to do. Let's go ahead and get on this shit. That's the kind of support that I want. That's what I need. Like, I want the kind of woman that I can feel okay with, like, making myself vulnerable emotionally, and, like, that's what I want. Like, I want to be able to feel like I can make myself vulnerable, not just emotionally, not just spiritually, not just physically, but all three of them. Like, I want that gold standard to where, like, hold me to the fire, because I'm going to do the same for you. And, like, I feel like if we're both doing that, we're both enhancing the situation. We're both bringing something to the table that the other person couldn't have without the other.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be like a financial thing. I don't need you financially. Like, I got my own shit. And I want you to feel the same way. Like, Jordan, I don't need you financially. I got my own shit. But when you got two people that got their own and they bring it to the table, now what way can I lean on you? Hey, I know Jordan is an emotional person. He gonna need my emotional support, because sometimes that's all I really want. Just support me emotionally and like let me know that I can do that type of stuff with you. And like, not saying that woman isn't out there, but like those kind of women are hard to find, because like they will also require a lot of you.
Yeah.
So you need to be sure that if that's the kind of woman you want, you need to understand that that's what you're asking for. And when you come in expecting stuff, there are going to be expectations on both sides. So now she's like, okay, if you want this kind of, you want me, this is the way that I am, this is what I want from you. And you have to be receptive to that and say, okay, you know what? That's acceptable. Like, you're not asking me for anything that's out of my realm of possibility. I can give that to you. Now hold me to that. And I think that right there is like, that's what you want. Like, right on the money, that is what you want in a woman. And like I said, this whole conversation just organically formed. Like I said, we literally just sat here and talked about this for like almost 45 minutes. From the time we got back from the grocery store, we just started talking about it, and like,
and this was the one.
Yeah.
But like I said, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. Like I said, we got a little long wind on this. This is a deep topic. It was important to us. So I'm glad y'all were here for us, and I'm sure you have your own thoughts and experiences with this. And you know what? Hey, from both sides, we like to hear from y'all. But
yeah, and if you're that type of woman, you already know how to reach me on IG. You already know how to reach Natheeeezy. Like, hit him up on his Instagram. Hit him up on Snap. Whatever he's on. If you that type of woman, you can go ahead and hit him up right now. Start that dialogue and start that conversation, because he needs you. Like, he looking for somebody that don't need him but want him. So if that's you, hey, go ahead and hit him up. Slide in his DM. Y'all exchange numbers later, but be able to talk on the phone, because this dude is long-winded. He can talk. So hey, more power to you, brother.
All right, till next time. See you later.
Thanks for tuning in with us today. Hopefully we were able to give you something you can use and take forward into your day. If you want to reach out to us with any questions, comments, concerns, or even topic requests, links are in the description. Join us back here again next week in the MadHouse. We appreciate you and where you are in your journey in life. And always remember, we're all quite mad here. You'll fit right in.